hell is empty, and all the devils are here.
Hello everybody, welcome to our new episode. Welcome to the Devil's Library. I am here today with my dear friends, Pike.
Hail Satan.
With Laraj.
Hail Satan.
And with Lithus.
Hail Satan.
And I am Lygia. Hail Satan. So, what are we doing today? So, today, this episode, we are going to explore a book, with a name. It has a name, okay? Are you ready, guys? This is a book by John Ward, A Blackened Heart, A Blackened Soul. And this book is so completely new that we had to actually wait until everybody was able to get it. So it was our first read for everybody here in this group. It was my choice. I chose this book because it was new and it was a challenge. It is always a challenge to find a book that my dear friends didn't read. Specifically some of them. So I was really tempted by this prospect. And maybe it blinded me a little bit. And I also really like the cover and the name. So as I'm saying, it is a book that promises, correct me if I'm wrong, but in my mind it promised like dark intensity. And it was inviting for me into like a world that would be conflicting and challenging and philosophical and psychologically, what's the word? Intense, right? Yeah, so these were my expectations. I'm really excited to hear yours. Basically, I'm not gonna talk about the plot of this book, but I will just say it touches on themes of alienation, transformation, maybe inner conflict, and how certain people, or like people in this book, deal or not deal with the conflicts in them. We will have a closer look at the ideas, the style, the writing, and like the whole experience that we had reading this book. I don't know. Are we ready to go?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Ready as fuck.
Okay.
Ready, more than ready.
I think this episode will be very different from anything we have done so far. So, yeah.
So you all finished the book, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I did not finish the book.
You know, go away.
Yeah, go finish it when come back.
Got no fucking staying power. It was too terrifying, wasn't it?
Yes. Intense.
I think it's fair to give John a little disclaimer, warning in case he's listening. So, I don't know if you're listening, John, but if you are, this might not be a very kind review of your book, so you might wish not to listen it and preserve your mental health. Look after yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to say that there's a couple of things. There is nothing that we've got against an author trying their hand at something different, nor small specialist publishing houses per se. And we are not the kind of people, and this is not the kind of podcast where we deliberately pick something that we can sort of tear apart just for the fun of it. We do not enjoy reading bad literature, and we try and pick good books, and we try and give positives. Yeah. So, but the warning up front is it is not going to be a good review, I'm afraid.
Yeah. This is why I explain, like, why I chose the book. It was not intentionally to be bad or anything. So I didn't know.
But by the same token, all that said, we're also duty bound to be completely honest about the experience we had reading these books. And this is why we will never accept books that are suggested to us by authors or publishing houses, because we want to do things our way. We don't do adverts, we don't do sponsorships, and we won't be. You can happily suggest things to us, but we will happily say no and not read your book and not read your suggestions for books, because this is what we want to do, not what someone else wants us to do.
Yeah, hail Satan to
Yeah.
that. Okay, so Larash, why did you not finish the book?
Because it's dreadful.
At which point did it break you?
At which point did it break me? At which point
Yes.
did I think this is it, I just cannot carry on with this anymore? About 10 pages into the second half of the book, when we have the time jump from John as an 8-year-old to John as a 20, whatever old he is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why that upset you, because he's exactly the same at 8 years old and as an adult.
Yeah. Well, he certainly, his inner voice is exactly the same. I mean, as an 8-year-old, he has a fantastic vocabulary.
That was so annoying.
But he doesn't know what cassock means.
But doesn't know what cassock means. He doesn't know what the word or awestruck means. Doesn't know what the word, what other words have we got?
Smirk.
Smirk.
But as an 8-year-old...
That's what they do in Middlesbrough when they go out for a cigarette.
Go for a smirk. It's just, I'm sorry, John, to be blunt, but it's a bad book. It's badly written. It's badly edited. If it's been edited at all, it's certainly not been proofread.
No, I don't think there's been any editing. There's not even been proofreading, no. It's full of grammatical errors as well as misuse of words. It's just...
Out and out mistakes as well. Not just wrong word choices, but out and out mistakes. I mean, there's a passage where the main character, John's grandma, gets possessed by a demon, and she starts cooking something on a stove in a possessed kind of way. That's what possessed people do, apparently, start cooking stuff. And according to the author, a rabbit and a hare are interchangeable animals. They are the same animal. He uses the same word, the word rabbit and the word hare, in the same paragraph to describe the same animal. At various points, things happen, we are told from the character's position, happen in a blur. And then within the same paragraph, we get detailed explanations of exactly what happened. So it's kind of, well, did it go in a blur or what? I mean, what happened? Mm-hmm. There's a specific point when, let me get to my notes on this. A nurse called Sierra tells one of the other characters, Father Rosario, about an attack that John's possessed grandma had made on John. I'm quoting directly from the book here. She went on to tell me the grisly details that Johnny outlined to her, how she ate the skull of a wild, partially cooked rabbit, and then went on to say that Edna made him also eat a piece of the hair and threatened to cut off her finger if he didn't comply. She then told me how Edna lashed out at him verbally before finally having her seizure. 1 page later, this is the character Johnny talking about the same event. The medics tended to my grandmother and occasionally attempted to ask me what happened. I couldn't find the words. I felt numb, empty, so I sat in silence. So which of those two things is true? Did Nurse Sierra get all the details, or did Johnny sit there in total silence and didn't share any of the details?
Telepathy.
Yeah.
This is a bad book.
Actually, before we go into granular detail, maybe, I don't know, Legia, do you want to say a little bit about what the book is about? Just so the listener has some idea what we're...
Yeah. I will need your help with the second half because I've read this quite some time ago now. This book is about Johnny. At the beginning, the first half of the book is about Johnny being 8 years old, as we mentioned. He is dealing with trauma, which, if we can say that, like, it started probably with like a car crash when he was sitting in the back of the car and his parents were in front of him and they crashed and his mom died and his father was ended up disabled and in a wheelchair. I'm not sure if anything else with him I think he was like okay, he just couldn't walk anymore, right? He was not
Just
completely
possessed.
paralyzed. Possessed, yes.
Possessed by a demon.
But this part was not clear to me. You can help me here. Like, I thought this whole thing started here, but as the story, the word evolve, I don't know, but anyway, continued, probably is a better word here. I thought maybe he was just possessed even before, and the whole thing happened because of him, or I'm not really sure what the point was, because even the ending, I don't understand what was happening. Was this just the trauma? Was he seeing things, but then the other people were dying? It was...
What was quite clear, I guess, out of all of that was that a demon latches onto John when he's 8 years old, and then...
So you think he latches on then, not before?
Well,
That's
might have
the
been
thing,
before,
like,
but
I'm not
from
sure.
his childhood, a demon follows him around, and
Yeah.
everyone he loves dies, and the demon tells him, "Oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
finish off everyone you love, and then I'm gonna come and take your soul." Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the whole.
I really like how you were saying it, and your cat just walked exactly at that moment,
Yes.
like, I'm taking your soul, and your cat appeared. Love that. Anyway, so yeah.
It's not clear because a cursed doll appears in there.
Yes.
That seems to be inhabited by the spirit of his dead mother.
Mom. Yeah.
But the bizarre thing is, halfway through the book, it suddenly switches. He's grown up. He's in a relationship. They've been together for years. They've been married for 11 years or something. His wife's expecting a baby. But that demon seems to have done nothing between the age of 8 and 30, whatever he is now. He's completely got over the trauma. There's been no mention of what happened in the intervening years. Did the demon go on a sabbatical? Did he go on a break?
Couldn't find a doll.
And then when his wife becomes pregnant and the demon starts to show up. Well, no, it doesn't show up then. The demon shows up after they go ghost hunting.
Yeah.
And
it's
find a room with dolls, and his cursed childhood doll is in there.
Yeah.
And the demon turns up. So the demon's somehow also linked to the doll, but not linked to him. He only comes up when the doll's there and the John's there. Something like that. If it sounds confusing, it's because
so
I'm very confused by what this was fucking about.
Yeah.
Does your experience of watching all the horror films not inform that particular question?
Well, I think it informs it in the sense that he's obviously taken tropes out of various horror films
Yes.
and jammed them all in, quite randomly, it seems. It did not make any sense to me what and in the end, the demon's called Malphas, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
What he does, and in the final scene, John. I mean, these are all spoilers, but listener, you're not going to miss anything, because I would not recommend that anyone read this book, honestly. So I will just say what happens in the end. John hangs himself in front of the priest. And then there's no explanation as to what happens to the demon. The demon seems to go poof. He doesn't go into the priest. He possesses people, and then when John's dead, he's done. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's because the power of God wins out in the end.
Oh, because he hung himself in the church, yeah.
He hung himself in the church, but in that moment, the priest was supposed to lose his faith, but he regained his faith.
Of course.
Doubled force.
Yeah, yes. He is now super priest. He is Father Rosario, the slayer of demons or whatever. He
That's
likes
how I read
ice
it.
cream. That's all I can remember about Father Rosario. He likes his ice cream.
Yeah, he likes his ice cream. But also, if the mum's spirit is in the doll, why is he also seeing her in the doorway and you know?
Mom's spirit is not in the doll. The demon is in the doll, and the demon...
Yeah, okay. The demon pretending to be
Shows
your
up
mom
as his mom or other people.
is either
Yeah.
in the doll, or why do we also see her, him, it, that? I don't know. It was a little bit trying too hard, you know? It was like there was no space for any, like, it wasn't developing in any way. It was just all over the place and everything.
I mean, there's no development in this novel at all.
No.
There's a series of horror tropes shoved into a narrative, and with no explanation or no reason. There's a doll there because there's a doll there. It's a possessed doll because it's a possessed doll. You know, now I have no problem. I've said countless times I've got no problem with a lack of explanation for things, but there's always has to be a certain logic, even if it's the nightmare logic of dreams. But there's no internal logic because there's no internal narration to this.
There is a difference between like not having all the information and having space for your own thoughts and reasoning and opinions. And there is a different story with this book where on one hand, it is over explaining. That's how I read it. But it's not really saying what it's supposed to be saying. There is no solution to anything. There is no climax to anything. I have no idea why any of that was happening.
I went through kind of a number of stages reading this. I mean, at first I was kind of like, oh, there's quite a lot of unforced errors in this. And then it got kind of amusing to collate and pinpoint the errors. And then the reason I stopped reading is just it was just getting to the point where it became beyond amusing and just got annoying.
It was a very, very painful read, I found, and I really had to stick with it in the end. And the last few chapters I just had to kind of skim read and kind of, because there's an awful lot of internal monologue, exposition kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what the author has done is there are main characters, and he writes one chapter from the point of view of one, and then one from the point of view of the other, and keeps switching characters. And each character he does in the first person voice. Now that is quite an audacious thing to do, especially if you're not that good an author. I mean, because if you're doing it in first person, you have to inhabit that character. And if you switch every chapter and do every subsequent chapter in a different character, but in the first person, then you have to also change the voicing. And there is no change in the voicing of the characters.
Yes.
All the characters have the same internal monologue, the same voice, and the voice is quite clearly his, and that is piss poor writing. I'm sorry to be honest, but it's fucking awful.
Yeah,
and it was
true.
really irritating. It really got to me in the end. It was, you know, I was like gnashing my teeth at the end of some chapters going, oh, you know, does this not end? And it's long. It's 320 pages, and an awful lot of it is just drivel, internal monologue, really badly written, misused words. Sorry, I'm going to stop here because this is just annoying me again. That I actually fucking spent money on this and wasted time reading this.
I mean, I think your point about that, the kind of like internal, the idea of using every chapter from a different person's perspective and them all being first person narrative, that immediately limits your ability to develop a character. There's no character development. They are all interchangeable. They're the same person with different names.
I would also say that it does take the reader out of a story if the character is narrating how they're dying in first person. It's possible to do that, but it takes a lot of skill, and before you learn to run, you need to learn to walk, which means before you need to do advanced literary writing, you need to learn, well, let's just start with learning to write in English.
Yeah, I completely
Well
agree with
said.
that. There's one of the tricks to sort of like doing that thing, what you just said there, Pike, about describing one's own death in first person. You've got to care about that character, and I didn't give a flying fuck about any of these characters because none of them had any actual character.
Yeah.
They were just cardboard cutouts wandering through a series of events.
I thought it was quite funny that in the author's note at the very end, the author says sort of, oh yeah, sorry about the dog. I tried not to make it gruesome. I know this is a sensitive subject. And in the story, the dog is just found dead. That's pretty much it. Every other character is like bleeding out on the floor, I don't know, twisting their arms backwards, bones breaking, the neck spinning, the whole shebang. The dog just dies.
Yeah.
Dog just dies, yes.
Yeah.
It is, and I think the point at which you gave up, Laraj, I can kind of like see where that was, because that was a point when I was really going, I'm gonna struggle finishing this, and I think that the bit where the second bit starts, the description of their relationship,
Oh, Jesus
was
Christ.
the worst kind of like hallmark perfect
mean the
romance,
couple?
and you're going, they've been together 15 years, and they're still like, oh, you're perfect, you're so wonderful,
But-
oh, I can't believe it, you know,
not
oh, you're so,
believable.
and it's like you've been together 15 years, a realistic relationship, right? People argue. Don't. It was just so.
And again,
grating.
that's one of the constraints of doing the first person thing and having no skill as a writer as well, is that there's no chance to develop these characters. There's no point. If you're doing both of them first person, the chances for them to interact with each other, the whole book is tell, not show. And it's kind of like there's no... a good way to show the development of a relationship between two people is to have them actually fucking interact with each other. And so, and
Or just
the way
fuck.
they say things, or just fuck. Just fuck.
Yes.
That would have
I think he
made it
makes
better.
The thought of reading a sex scene written by John Ward fills me with horror.
Well, I'm trying to remember. There was one bit where they obviously came back from the meal or something, and they had sex, and the description he uses to say that they'd had sex was, he doesn't describe it in any way, but I can't remember the turn of phrase again. Now was terrible. I might
I
have
would
made a
love
note
to
of
hear
it.
that. I forgot about that.
Did they
completely.
reach the summit of their love, or did they?
Maybe they were dripping with love.
I have a theory about their relationship, and that it's kind of key to how everything turned out.
Go on.
Go on.
So, whilst Liffus is looking for that perfect phrasing, I'll say
yes,
that.
please.
So, you know how you said the relationship seems unrealistic and sort of odd in that way. There is a bit where he says, ever since we met, we told each other each other's deepest, darkest secrets. And at that point, I went, liar. A page ago, because it also says that
Yes.
she was my best friend, and we told each other our deepest, darkest secrets. I said, a page ago, you said your best friend was the dog. And a page later, you are going to say how you didn't talk about your trauma with her because, he didn't say he didn't want to ruin the vibes, but something along those lines.
Oh, this is what I meant by the unforced
They
errors in
told
this
each
book.
other
It's like-
everything, but he didn't mention the possessed dad or the doll or anything. So
And that's why she
Yes.
didn't tell him when she was going through all the demon stuff. And I think maybe if they had a relationship where instead of just going, oh, babe, get a pizza, babe, oh, snuggle with me, babe, they actually had an honest conversation, maybe she wouldn't have killed herself, and then maybe he wouldn't have hanged himself in the end.
anyway, I found the expression. It's John and I had closed out the night with some much needed passion.
That's so sweet.
Wow.
I mean,
Is it
what? That's so romantic and erotic. Closing out the night with some much needed passion.
Oh, I all need a break now.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll use
Passion
that
just-
one next time I have a wank.
Again?
Please
This
wait
topic
until
just
we
keeps
finish.
coming up.
Sorry.
Lithos's eyes dropped to the floor. As no.
As a swarm
I'll-
of bees.
I've just got some examples here of misuse of words, right? Where he's, he calls his peripheral vision his peripherals. Like, it would happen quickly in the blink of an eye out of my peripherals, which is what is even that? A mixed hodgepodge. Well, a hodgepodge is a mix. And then a couple of kids came zipping past me, snapping me out of my reverence. Reverie is the word, not reverence. You know, and it's just constant. Megan's premature exodus from this world. Exodus? Does she contain the peoples of Israel? No.
Exit. Fucking
Exit.
hell. Oh, there's a
Jesus.
lot. There's a lot.
I mean, constantly. And it's like, someone buy this man a dictionary. Get a thesaurus. When you start writing, these are essential. There's not even an excuse that you have to buy in paper. Go online. Colin's website. Very good online dictionary. It's free.
But I would like to commend John for not using AI.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, that is true.
That is true.
There was a point when I did think, is this book AI written? And I thought, it can't be, because even AI would be better at writing than this.
Yes, but it would not be... It would be really boring if it was written by AI, whereas this was at least really funny in places.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was clearly
So,
human errors.
Start of chapter 2. Father Rosario says, "Do you believe in ghosts? The question still sat heavily on my conscience." Why? Why is it on your conscience? You haven't done anything? Do you not know what the word conscience means? That's not what it means. The constant awestruck and being awe. So, dictionary definition of awe, a feeling of great respect, sometimes mixed with fear or surprise. Here is Johnny describing his dad attacking him. "The figure that was doing this was my dad. I watched completely awestruck as he pulled a long chef's knife out of the block on the counter." What?
Hey, Dad! That's awesome! Rad!
And then later, during Edna, his grandma's possession,
That's
I
mental.
watched in awe as she nonchalantly hummed an old tune, frantically reaching for a spatula and working whatever she had sizzling in the frying pan, which was the aforementioned hare/rabbit.
Also, sometimes it has positive consequences. The language mix-up. So I don't know if you thought that way, but I thought this was a very right-wing American novel. It does come up in weird ways. But then there is a
Yes.
moment where he's talking about Megan's pregnancy, and it's very... he uses very inclusive language, which is nice. But he says something along the lines that I would never understand what the woman's bond with their child when they go through their pregnancy. But he's...
Gender-neutral language, John. Well done.
Oh, there... Yeah.
I don't think it was intentional, though.
Haven't noticed that.
Well, we have to commend him for something.
Yeah. If we're going to condemn him for accidental words,
Yeah.
then we got to commend him too.
What was a place that you found funny?
Most of it, until it began to annoy me past the point of no return.
I mean, the malapropisms were funny. I mean, I found them quite funny because they were so, HIPAA would have had an absolute heyday if this was still a functioning facility. Field day, not heyday. Heyday means something completely different. It's like,
Right.
and bear in mind, there are two people on this podcast for whom English is not their first language, and they found it atrocious.
That's Lithos and Larache, by the way.
That's unfair, just because he came from the West Midlands.
Fuckers.
I thought it it was very funny when, in a great piece of comedy, where Edna calls Father Rosario at night. So she says that she thinks he's going to be getting ready for bed or probably asleep. And she phones him up and, hello, he replies groggily. And she says, oh, is this a good time to chat?
You've already called me. Bit late for that. Yeah.
Hello, I'm already up.
It's 3 a.m. He was clearing his browser cache.
Yeah. His Google searches for church porn, nun porn. What about the way that an 8-year-old talks in their own?
No,
An 8-year-old said this. I cautiously rolled out of bed, exited my room and began to walk down the long corridor towards the end of the hall. A small nightlight within the bathroom illuminated the hall under the dimmest of lights. And
A+.
also,
Yeah.
later
Well done,
on,
son.
an 8-year-old also says, noticing the slow trickle of dark, viscous blood still escaping from the gaping wound in his neck.
Yes.
An 8-year-old.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Unbelievably, I don't know how nobody saw this as an issue.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is a problem, I think, with the
How?
publishing house. They've obviously just taken the book on spec. It's not
But
even
even
being...
when you're writing it, like, have you never seen a child
Yeah.
that speaks words? Like, how?
Yeah, there's a
Just don't talk like that.
You don't have to have children, but you know this is not the way they would speak.
I think there's a moment where a child is referring to unsettling revelations. That's where I thought, hey.
I think, I mean, also, another my favourite 8-year-old quote is, my dream from just moments prior had come to fruition.
Oh, dear.
Fucking hell.
I found very funny, like, the chapter where the grandma was lured outside by the spirit or the demon of the daughter. Her daughter, Susan was her name. And how stupid that whole thing was. Like, oh, what do you mean you're following this nothing and you know already? Are we really doing this? Like, she just opens the house. She leaves the house with the grandson in there with this whole trauma instead of, like, completely blocking out the house and keeping your fucking brain in your head. Like, okay, I'm not gonna listen to any stupid noises and everything is fine. Like, I'm gonna just focus my brain to stay stable here. No! We're going to open the door and leave. I think she didn't even have shoes. And she would follow this voice. Like,
This voice of her daughter,
I'm gonna...
who she knows is dead.
I had to put it down. Yes. Because that's what a normal adult person... We didn't learn that she had any dementia or anything. She was completely
except for
fine.
cancer.
But she
mentally.
yeah, but that, it wasn't brain cancer. So, what was that? I don't know if it was funny, actually, now I'm saying it, but I couldn't. I was
It's
just,
weird.
I couldn't.
I thought another, the plot point that I found really weird was there's a property developer. He buys and disused old orphanage that he wants to develop into housing. And then his workers stop working because it's haunted and they're scared. So what does he do? As a real property developer, he scours eBay and finds and vintage shops and finds haunted dolls all around. And he buys them all up and he puts them all into a room in that house and then invites paranormal investigators to come and hang out there.
Yeah. That was the dumbest way possible to try and reintroduce Lucy into the story.
Yeah. Lucy being the doll, yes.
Lucy being the possessed doll, yeah. Is it any shock for us to learn that John's other career is as a paranormal investigator who loves spooky dolls? Yes.
Not John Tinsley, but John Ward, the author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a shocker, I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, I mean it's kind of, there's just so many sort of why did that happens in the whole book. Apart from, because if there was the occasional misuse of words, that would be all right. But then he tries to up the game by coming up with inventive metaphors, and each one of them falls flat on its face, metaphorically speaking.
Are we gonna do favorites?
Oh,
Favourite bad metaphors or just favourite bits of bad
What do you-
writing generally?
what do you mean?
bad metaphors, I think. Yeah, there are some. Come on, hit
I don't know if I...
Yeah,
the listener,
if you have some
just-
notes.
What? Liv has told us ages ago to find the best ones. Did no one else do that?
No, I didn't. I don't remember reading that.
I did.
No, I
I've-
couldn't go back to the book. Because you guys, you were still reading it, and I was like, I'm not going to reread just to find a, Come on, guys. Have
You chose
mercy
a
with
book.
me.
Why do you want mercy?
Okay, I can't hear you.
Okay, so Liffus, do you want to go first, just in case we chose the same one?
Well, I have early on. I think this was the first one where I went, "Oh my God!" An unsettling feeling crept up my spine like a worm inching its way to the surface after a heavy rain.
Oh, that's quite poetic.
Right.
I've got this, and it's two sentences, but they did go one after another in the text. The edge of the woodline looked like the toothy grin of an anglerfish in the inky depths of the ocean. The humid summer night caused my clothes to cling to my body like barnacles on the bottom of the vessel.
Oh my God, that is
This
great.
isn't the book.
That one
This
is
isn't the
great.
book?
I didn't even make a note of that one. Oh
Yeah.
dear.
I just have one more,
we have
please.
a winner, I think.
A crippling apprehension grew inside me like the great Olympic torch.
Oh, that's the winner.
That wasn't in there, was it? I don't even remember that one.
It
Who
is from the
knows?
book, word for word.
I will have my
Oh,
visions
that's my
broken.
favourite. That's brilliant. That's verging on brilliant, to be honest.
Olympic.
Me and Legia
torch.
taking notes and improving our English. This is how we're going to speak.
Well, I think actually there would be a place for this book in sort of creative writing classes to go, this is how not to write a book. These are the mistakes to make, because I think it covers just about every mistake an author can make in a book. You know,
So that's a plus.
inconsistencies, plot holes,
It's in one
bad
book.
characterization, bad use of English, bad metaphors, terrible grammar. The amount of times that it's is used wrongly with an apostrophe or
Yeah.
when it should be, and there's actually once it's used as an as the possessive form
Yeah.
in the same sentence twice, once correctly and once incorrectly, and it's like basic proofreading. Even
Yes.
just a grammar checker in a modern grammar checker would have picked that one up. And it's like, was there any effort put into checking any of this, or did he just bang it out and go, oh,
Yeah.
that'll do?
I think that's something that's worthy of discussion. I mean, all authors make mistakes, of course they do. That's why editors exist. That's why proofreaders exist. This book, as we all said earlier, has clearly not been proofread or edited. And I'm not trying to sort of like say that the author's writing is therefore good and would have been okay if it had been edited or proofread, because I don't think this novel is salvageable. But surely someone must have said to him, it just defies, I don't understand how it's been published.
The book lists 2 editors.
Right.
Ostensibly
Are they
2
still
people
alive?
edited this book.
Was this before they? I'm sorry.
Was it actually editors, or I mean, there's a
Maybe
bit at the end where
they
he
use
thanks
like a
people
Ouija
for reading the alpha version or something like that. There's actually editors. I didn't even notice that.
At the beginning of a book, where it has all the publisher's notes, it says edited and proofed by Victoria Kishka and Charlene Dutoit.
Okay.
What a
Well,
pretty
wow.
name, but
Victoria and Charlene have a lot to answer for, if they
it
exist.
exists.
Yeah, don't give up the day job would be my advice.
That's incredible. The two people have
Yeah.
apparently proofread this.
Maybe they're just scamming him. Maybe they just charged him money and went, yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah.
it's
Great.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, that could happen. My mother had her book translated and asked me to have a look over it and maybe edit it a little afterwards. I pretty much had to rewrite the whole thing. And that's a professional translation agency that charged a lot of money. New authors do get scammed quite badly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is a distinct possibility there because, there is no way any kind of editor would have let this pass, and they would have made massive cuts. Because there is the potential of actually having done a decent story with this, had it lost about 100 pages for a start. There's an awful lot of superfluous stuff in there, and the writing had been a bit snappier, and this is another problem where the scenes where something terrible happens and things happen in rapid succession, and it looks like it's building up to something, and then he throws in a whole load of unnecessary verbiage to slow the whole thing down again. And it's the pacing was just all over the place.
And these are all things that a good editor, apart from the grammar side of things, a good editor would pick up on that as well.
Like the translation, I think that's too easy for John because this is his own language. He should probably know better. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I do know exactly what you mean. I mean, it defies
like you can't help
logic
yourself
to
with
think
the
that
translation if you don't speak the language or it's not that level. But if it's your own language, there is no excuse.
to not know what the word conscience means, to not know what the word
The
all means,
apostrophes,
to not know what
like,
the word
hello?
smirk means. Yeah, the difference between a possessive, I mean, all these things.
Well,
Perhaps
we see
John
it.
should write scripts instead. He's clearly thinks about it very. I mean, we said it's a lot like there's a lot borrowed from various horror films, right? There is
Other themes,
do we,
yeah.
we have somebody climbing backwards with a limb sort of broken up
Yes.
the stairs, which is Exorcist, right?
Yes.
And then there is the Hat Man, which is Babadook, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the paranormal investigator and wife team, which is Conjuring.
Then we have Annabelle.
Just about everything from this book is borrowed from The Conjuring. There's a guy with a hat in the second Conjuring film.
Oh, it could be.
The husband and wife thing is from The Conjuring. The doll is Annabelle from The Conjuring.
I mean, my thought towards the end was this is something I could see Netflix chucking out as one of their horror offerings.
Yeah.
You know, not one of the good Netflix offerings, but one of the run-of-the-mill ones
No
that
found
they chuck
footage
out, you know,
also.
because...
And what did you guys think about the self-advertising qualities in the book?
That was
That was a
Infuriating.
killer for me. He lost me. That was a complete, I can't.
For the benefit of the listener, at one point in the book, the main character walks up to two boys, and one of them is reading the author's prior book, and then the character goes, "Cool book."
But only after a smirk had spread across his face.
Yeah. The miss smirk, that was
Was the
possibly the most
smirk
egregious
crawling?
misuse of the word over and over again.
Yeah.
And also grinning from ear to ear. You know, it's like, you know, when the demon's looking particularly malicious, it's grinning from ear to ear, and it's like, no. The demon's a Cheshire cat?
Another aggrandizing moment is where at the very end the author dedicates a whole page to a single quote by himself.
Yeah, well, I didn't get that far, so
Yeah.
I wasn't punished by that.
Yeah, that's, you know,
You
and
might be now.
it's something trite like evil exists, you know. I can't even remember what it's called.
It says, sometimes evil wins. That's the real terror that lurks beyond the shadows. John Ward. Well, he was
Yes.
clearly very proud of that thought.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, he's right that evil exists. It's just it exists in novel form.
I mean, that's like a line from a really bad heavy metal song.
Yeah.
What is he
Oh, now
even
you're just
saying?
praising him.
Slayer are going to do a concept album about this book.
Yeah, or Iron Maiden.
Should we talk briefly about the gender stuff in it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For example, how do you think a miscarriage happens?
Yeah. I think that might have been... Was that the final? I can't remember.
I'm gonna quote this, I think, because it's...
Yes, that was.
This is John's wife. I doubled over the toilet and heaved all the contents that had been resting inside my stomach and broke down into hysterics. So this is her miscarriage. She froze up her baby, presumably, and then she gets hysterical. And I will say that the author at the end in acknowledgements says that he consulted one person specifically for healthcare related stuff.
So how
That's
will
not
I,
how the
would
human
I
body
put
works, John.
this?
Well, there's so many. That's not how. I mean, there's also the whole
Also,
book. That's not how trauma
Mouth
works, John.
It's nice.
No.
It can be sexual. You can't get pregnant through your mouth, and you don't give birth through your mouth. You do not miscarriage through your mouth. Just
In a
saying.
horror novel, you do.
Yeah, I just that surprised me. He comes home and finds her lying on the floor, and there's no mention of
and the-
blood or anything.
It's not in your
which
stomach.
usually he's very keen to mention any occurrence of blood.
Fuck.
Yeah, but his wife is perfect. She would have no doubt cleaned and spruced through the entire home,
Yeah.
knowing it would upset him
It was
in their fucking Hallmark card-based relationship.
Yeah. And John is perfect too, right? How do we know that she sees him and she falls in love with him immediately, and his attractiveness is described. First words are strong jawline, which is such a very specific kind of guy kind of thing, because in real life women will care about 50 other things before they get to the jawline.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I
But
mean,
some internet men are obsessed with their jawlines.
Yes.
Yeah.
his wife, the chapters written from her point of view were so off the mark and unbelievable, and it was terrible. It's like, do not write from the perspective of a woman.
No.
You know, you have to be a really good author if you're a man and you want to write from the perspective of a woman. You've got to really know your fucking stuff. And this was terrible. This was his ideal of what his ideal woman would be.
Of anything. And this is where I was really thinking how you, Pike, mentioned like the possibility of the right side of, thinking in America. I don't know. The way they think women think, some people, right? It was just absolutely like, where are you pulling this out of? Like, is this coming from your heels? Like, are you what? I don't know.
Talking about pulling things out of other, he even tried to do the Exorcist sweary bit, and I did notice he throws a couple of swears in occasionally when things get really bad, and it's completely incongruous and doesn't fit. And the bit that he tries to do the bit in The Exorcist where the girl's
Yeah.
wanking herself with a crucifix and goes, your mother sucks cocks in hell, priest. And he tries to do something like that with his wife when she's possessed, going, oh, is this the pussy you'd like to fuck or something like that? And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, man.
Oh,
That's
yes.
just terrible.
She
It's
said
just
that.
terrible. This is not. It worked in The Exorcist. It doesn't work here. Just throwing in sort of like obscenities and swears at random.
Okay,
is
but
like,
explain to him why it doesn't work here. Why it worked in The Exorcist, but not here.
Oh, that's because William Peter Blatty knows how to write a book.
yes, yeah. That's kind of Why doesn't it work here? Because it just seems to. There's nothing particularly leading up to it. It just appears in the middle of nothing. You know, all of a sudden she's possessed, and then all this happens,
And then he dies out.
You know, and this is like, you know, the incongruity of events. You know, the whole thing with the massive time span where the demon doesn't show up, and then when they show up, it suddenly happens, and then there's no lead up or anything like that. You know, whereas in The Exorcist, there was a lead up to that. You know, she was gradually getting worse. Here, it's just suddenly his wife's going, yeah, I'm disgusting, fuck me. You know, it's like...
I suck cocks in hell, Karis. I mean, John. Yeah, I mean, I think that
dear.
ties back to what I was saying earlier about there being no character development. It's kind of like each character is this little cardboard cutout that John is marching through these various scenarios. There's no reason to care about any of these things. They do thing A and then they do thing B, and there's no emotional connection. There's no internal logic. There's no reason.
No reason.
The reader's not given any reason to care about why these things are happening or why we should find them shocking.
You also know, you know, when the second part started and he was talking so lovingly about his wife, I thought, right, okay, she's going to die, baby's going to die.
Yeah.
The only thing I got wrong in the end is I thought he was going to kill the priest and carry,
that was a twist.
That was a twist. Him hanging himself, that was the only plot twist I didn't see coming. Everything else was like fucking signposted so heavily.
Are we ready for pitchforks yet?
I have one more question
Okay.
Okay. I think I know the answer, but maybe you will surprise me. So, do you guys think if we forget about all the like writing skills and stuff, just the plot and the story as a story, do you think the author was actually trying to say something about human nature, or am I being too nice? And if what was he trying to say?
I think I'll answer that with answering that question. And the answer, my answer to that question is I have no idea what he was trying to say, because I don't know what the point of the novel was.
Thought so.
I don't want to guess at the author's, own life and how it connects to the story, but I think there is some kind of perhaps pain that he wanted to talk about that is maybe real. And in the end, what the book was saying, to me at least, it was saying evil exists in this world, and you should pray. You should, you should bring in God and what was it, the Archangel, St. Michael, and all that, because in the end, that's the only thing that works.
Yeah,
It's a very American sort of right-wing Christian thing. It's because evil is real. Evil is in other people, and we have to fight these other people, essentially.
Yeah, I think unlike Rosemary's Baby, which was written by an atheist. I mean, Ira Levin was Jewish, but also an atheist.
Yeah.
And so it's a made-up story. He didn't believe any of it. I think this guy actually believes these things are real.
I had that impression. Mm-hmm.
But if he's trying to convey the message that we need to be aware or whatever, it didn't come across.
But then
Not
it's
to me,
surprising
anyway.
that they go and, the ghost hunting. I don't know, maybe for people who believe.
Well, I watched
So,
an
I
episode of
don't
his
know.
ghost hunting show, and it is again. I watched the whole thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I watched the
bloody
whole
hell.
thing. I
I
mean,
managed 20
obviously,
minutes.
it's over an hour long, and literally nothing happens at all throughout that whole hour. Obviously, because ghosts aren't real, but it does echo what Pike was saying about this whole kind of Christian idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a new style of Christianity where ghosts exist,
Okay.
but we should all turn to the light, kind of thing.
So it's like
How-
the evil stuff, and you can conquer it with your faith
Yeah.
in God. And
I mean, like all these ghost hunters, they present themselves as experts, and there's lots of "don't try this at home" type things, because we're experts, and like, well, what are you experts in exactly? Because this is bollocks. But that whole idea that Pike was saying earlier about the sort of like Christianity of the book is echoed in his ghost hunting stuff.
Really? How does it come out in
I'm not watching that.
the video?
Not explicitly. Nobody ever says you should do this because God said so, or Jesus thinks this, but it's kind of like the whole idea about the white light, the power of the white light, and the power of, they wear lots of religious iconography, St. Christopher's medallions and all this kind of stuff. But to them, that doesn't...
That is actually
different
very
God.
beautiful.
But that doesn't also, interestingly, doesn't also contradict them in the sense they don't feel it's bad for them to do Ouija boards. They don't feel it's against God
That's what I'm
for
saying.
them to
It's
kind of
so
like talk
weird.
to the dead. And so it's kind of like this neo-Christianity, which is a bit of both. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's, it's, they don't see it as a contradiction because they see themselves as experts. And I think what they see themselves as experts in is this neo-Christianity.
It's a bit of righteousness, if you ask me.
I didn't. I tried to watch it. I managed 20 minutes, and then one of the ghost hunters fell for the most obvious bit of cold reading I've seen in a while. And at that point, I thought, and he was going, oh, it was a really deep experience and really emotional. And it's like the guy just did cold reading. He literally went, I'm getting a and then finally finds out the name. And the name he guesses is Steve. And it's like, that's not a difficult fucking name to guess. Bit of advanced research on what your uncle was called. Especially if you're ghost hunters and you've got a web page. This is like...
And all your names are publicly available and researchable on that page.
Think you're really looking to prove that there are ghosts or whatever, you need to know what charlatans are and what a cold reader is. And, my honest belief, I'm with Houdini, and James Randi. They're all charlatans. It's bollocks.
All right, okay, pitchforks.
Yeah.
Let's do pitchforks. Ligea.
I will give it a 1 for the cover. I really like the cover.
Okay.
I like the
It is a
picture.
good cover.
Yeah.
Pike.
I'll give it a 2. It was not AI slop, so there was some effort there. And I will say that it was bad writing and the content was in parts quite hateful. There were bits that really put me off, so I'll give it a 2.
Lethos.
0. Sorry, no redeeming features. I was so infuriated by the whole thing.
That's a
It
first.
might not have come across, but 0. Nothing in this book is worth anything.
I will also give it a 0. It was utterly irredeemable. And I will also couple it with a quote from Edgar Allan Poe, which is, I intend to put it with nothing that I can put down. And I did. Halfway through.
Oh, see.
Well,
That's a
John
quote.
Ward counters with Baudelaire.
I fucking doubt that.
He does at the end of the book.
Does he?
You know that Baudelaire quote about how the greatest trick that the devil has pulled
Yes.
is
Is
so
making
yeah,
you
it's
believe
there.
it doesn't exist.
Yes.
Does he
Yeah.
quote? Oh, Christ.
It's refreshing.
That's-
We have never heard that before.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So next up, it is Pike's choice. So what are we reading next, Pike?
We are reading Roadside Picnic, a 1972 novel by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, and a book that Tarkovsky's Stalker is loosely based on.
Okay.
Really looking forward to this one.
Me too. Me too. We need something good now.
Yeah.
I hope it will be as riveting a read.
It's got a good forward from Ursula K. Le Guin,
Yes.
which is a good sign. Okay, so that's it from this episode of The Devil's Library. I've been Laraj, hail Satan.
I'm Pike, hail Malthus.
Sorry.
Pull yourselves together.
You can't. Oh my God.
Don't say hail Lucy, please. Don't say hail.
Do it.
Go on, Lydia, do your hails. She can't.
Hey, Lucy.
No!
Sorry, John.
Dear God. Or Satan. Right.
Oh.
Hail Satan.
See you next time.